was always the Jags.
Always the Jags.
It's always the Jags.
Always the Jags.
Welcome into Always the Jags, your number one podcast for all things Jacksonville, all things Jaguars, all things Duuuvaaallll. You know, it's we're in the off season now, and it's hard to be interested in football for me right now as a Jaguars fan, because you can't help but watch all these games and just feel like this should be us. We should be there, right? But the coaching carousel has largely ended. And so I was debating, because I want to keep, doing videos even in the offseason, keep talking Jaguars, keep you guys updated on what's going on in our section of Duval County. But I'm like, what do I talk about? Until we're watching Trevor Lawrence throw, 6 touchdowns in a game again, it's like, where's the interest? What do I do? Obviously, we got free agency of the draft coming up, but those are months away. So I've been running some mock drafts, of course. Gen Jag has been, he puts out a new one every other week. One of the best Jags creators out there. Even UCF was like, I don't really be doing free agency, but I'm doing mock drafts. But Gen Jag is that guy. So if you haven't seen him already, go check out Jordan DeLugo, Gen Jag. He does great content on Jaguars mock draft. And I've liked a lot of his mock drafts. I've been checking them out. But for this video, because we still got so much time before the draft, so my plan is, on this video, I just want to talk about the coaching carousel. I want to talk about where the Jaguars are headed as a team. And I'll even give my Super Bowl predictions, because this will be out before the Super Bowl. And then probably after that, I'll go ahead and do a free agency mock. And then I'll do my own mock draft. And then I like to do a mock draft after free agency, because after free agency and the dust settles, then we'll know. And I will say this year, in other years past, picking in the first round, it was really important to know what other teams wanted and what other teams needed and what other players other teams were high on. This year, since we don't pick to the second round, it's kind of tough to make that determination and try to see what happens. It's because there's so many teams picking ahead of us, right? In a first round, it's just one team is picking a player, and then you just got to know what they want, so that way you can still get your guy and know if you need to trade up. This year, there are multiple teams with multiple picks ahead of us, and we haven't been in the situation in a while, and we'll still find out if it's worth it with Travis Hunter. It's I don't think he was a bust, but I miss our first round pick right now. I'm just saying, it shouldn't have cost us that much. With the Browns, we moved up from 5 to 2. It should not have cost us a first and a second, and a high second. We should have been able to get that done for a second. Maybe 2 seconds. Having to throw in our first from next year, even if Travis Hunter was a superstar. And again, our season went better than anyone could have anticipated, right? The only thing better would have been winning the Super Bowl. And even after winning the Super Bowl, it's yeah, that second, maybe 2 seconds should have got it done, but it shouldn't have cost us an extra first and a second, But we did what we had to do to get the player that we wanted. And clearly he was a player that we needed as well, based upon that humiliating loss. Well, it wasn't humiliating, but based upon that loss to the Bills, where we couldn't stop Josh Allen and his gaggle of no-name receivers. So let's talk about this coaching carousel. First of all, the best news for any Jaguars fan: Anthony Campanile and Grant Udinski are safe. They are remaining in Jacksonville. And it's good for a number of reasons. Because, first of all, the fact that our coaches we're getting head coaching gig looks. Grant Udinski was a finalist for the Browns job. So not just the interview, he went on a second one. Anthony Campanile, I'm pretty sure, was a finalist for the Cardinals job. And I don't know if Grant Udinski got a second interview with the Bills. I can't remember. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some of those hires and my thoughts on them. I think that it's incredible news that we were able to keep Grant Udinski and Anthony Campanile, because even in the seasons where we were kind of good, when we had our 2017 season, our 2022 season, our coordinators weren't getting looks for head coaching jobs. I think in 2017, I think we had Nathaniel Hackett, and he wasn't being interviewed, I don't think. And I don't remember who our defensive coordinator was. But same thing in 2022. Like, um, who was it? I can't remember the defensive coordinator. He was a linebackers coach, but he wasn't getting looks, and Press Taylor wasn't getting looks in 2022 either. So the fact that Udinski and Campanile are both getting looks, to me, is our first getting serious looks around the league. And again, obviously, we had a better season than those two, 13-4 versus 10-7, and 10-7 and 9, and I think it was 9-8. Yeah, 9-8 in those seasons. But those seasons both had deeper playoff runs, right? But we still ended up not having our coordinators get any looks. To me, that's one thing, Jaguars fans, we can hang our hats on and say, hey, that's why this is going to be different, if that makes sense. Because other teams are looking at our coordinating talent and they're saying like, oh, this is different because of their staff and who they have in place. It wasn't just like an influx of great players hitting at the right time, because sustained success requires a top-notch staff. Because you can have players come in and play really well, and then the next season they're not so good, and then all that sustained success goes out the window. So the fact that our staff appears like it was the bench line for our success, obviously a lot of players made a difference too. Having Trevor Lawrence makes a difference, right? But having our staff come in and make that, to me, that is what we can hang our hat on and be like, okay, maybe this is different. Because in all honesty, it needs to be different. It has to be different. Because Liam Coen, he had a phenomenal season. No one's going to take that away from him. Lynn Jones, of course, all that controversy for her saying nice things to him, which still doesn't make any sense. No one can take away this phenomenal season. But what he can't be, what he absolutely cannot be, is Doug Marrone again. Can't be Doug Peterson again. He can't be Dan Quinn this year. We can't have a magical run and then it all fall apart the next year. And that's what the Jaguars have had the past times since we haven't had sustained success since 1999, maybe. Because I think in 2007, I don't know if we made it in 7 and 8, but I'm pretty sure it fell apart pretty quickly after that. So that's Liam Coen's biggest challenge. How do we go from being disrespected? Because let's be honest, like the Jaguars were disrespected in a lot of ways, but like this year, we're going to come in with respect. Teams are going to be respecting us and expecting us to play well and play to a level that, again, we've proven we can play at, but can we sustain it? Like we don't, like Pete Prisco pointed out, you don't want that disrespect narrative. If that taking us all the way to the Super Bowl, great, but you can't just rely on that disrespect narrative for sustained success if you want to become a team like the Bills and like the Chiefs, who are perennially in the playoffs and are perennially a play away from making the Super Bowl. And that's Liam Coen's next destination. And it seems like a lot to put on a second-year coach, but he already raised the bar so high by going 13-4, And he doesn't have to go 13-4 again, right? Like it could be 12-5. Here I am saying our Jaguars head coach could go 12-5. It could be, 11-6, whatever it takes to get into the playoffs. But we've got to show that last year was not a flash in the pan. And that's the biggest challenge for Liam Coen and the biggest challenge for the rest of the Jaguars team, because a lot of guys on this team have known flashy seasons, flashy, 1-year wonder kind of things. And we've got to nip that and it still happens today. There's always a magical team that comes out of nowhere, and then the next year they're nowhere to be found. The Commanders. Last year they went all the way to the championship game. This year they were nowhere to be found. And you could argue, injuries, Jaden Daniels, okay, right. But still, they were supposed to go so much farther than they did this year. They crashed and burned. And so, and obviously, like I said, Dan Quinn is going to be safe because of all the injuries. But that's the challenge for Liam Coen, and I'm looking forward to see how he tackles it. I'm looking forward to see how James Gladstone tackles it. And I'm looking forward to see how Trevor Lawrence tackles it, because this will be his second time. And again, 2023, like, it did kind of crash and burn, but like it started off very successful. Like we thought we were going to be a number 1 seed in the AFC. And then you could argue that injuries kind of threw us off there. But again, I don't care who gets hurt. I mean, the most impressive thing to me that this is a 13-4 season, and injury-riddled season. Like, this is one of the most injury-riddled seasons Jaguars have had in a long time. To be missing our top 3 receivers and top 3 defensive backs for a good period of time, and we went into the playoffs missing our tackle, top 2 defensive backs, like that's a lot, you know? And so it'll be interesting to see how all of that plays out and how Trevor Lawrence handles it. Thank you so much for watching Always the Jags. Make sure you like and subscribe down below. Check out some of these other videos that I'm sure you'll be interested in as we chase Duuuvaaallll greatness. Thank you for joining us again, and until next time.